The only thing thicker than the hollandaise sauce at Magnolia's brunch was the tension radiating from my wife's friends. I sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, watching Cambria's little squad exchange glances like they were planning a heist instead of ordering mimosas. "Felix," Cambria said, her voice artificially sweet, "we need to talk about something important." I set down my fork and leaned back in the booth. Mira Callan, the ringleader of this particular circus, had her phone positioned just so, camera aimed right at me, subtle as a brick through a window. "Sure, honey. What's on your mind?" I kept my voice level, though my pulse quickened. After 15 years as a network engineer and 6 in the Army before that, you learn to read situations. This wasn't a casual brunch conversation. Rory Veldon, perpetually nervous and gossipy, fidgeted with her napkin. Jessa Roven, the naive one who documented everything on social media, had her phone out too. A regular film crew. "I've been thinking," Cambria continued, "maybe we should take a break. See other people." The words hung in the air like smoke. Around us, other diners continued their conversations, oblivious to the little drama unfolding in Booth 7. I almost laughed. Almost. See, here's the thing about being married to someone for 8 years. You tend to sync your devices for convenience. Cloud storage, shared calendars, automatic backups. Very convenient, especially when your spouse thinks you're too technically challenged to notice her messages syncing to the home server. "A break," I repeated slowly. "Interesting timing, considering your promotion meeting with Wilder tomorrow." Cambria's smile faltered for just a second. Wilder Sornel, her boss at the marketing firm, rich, arrogant, and apparently very interested in mentoring my wife in ways that had nothing to do with quarterly reports. "This isn't about work, Felix. This is about us growing apart." Mira leaned forward, phone still recording. "Sometimes couples need space to appreciate what they have." "Space," I nodded thoughtfully. "Like the space between room 214 at the Riverside Hotel and our wedding anniversary last month?" The color drained from Cambria's face. Jessa's phone slipped in her hands. Rory knocked over her water glass. "I don't know what you're talking about," Cambria stammered. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through the screenshots I'd been collecting for weeks. Funny thing about cloud synchronization. Your messages, photos, location data, it all backs up automatically. The table went silent, except for the soft ping of notifications. I'd just forwarded a particular conversation thread to all 4 phones at the table. The one where Cambria and her friends planned this little loyalty test, complete with strategies to catch my reaction on camera and use it against me later. "You wanted honesty?" I stood up, dropping a 20 on the table. "Here's some honesty. I know about Wilder. I know about the hotel receipts you've been hiding. I know about your little plan to film me today so you could play the victim later." Cambria's phone buzzed. Wilder's name flashed on the screen. I reached over and answered it on speaker. "Cambria, baby, how did it go? Did you get him on camera?" The silence that followed was deafening. Other diners started turning to look. Wilder's voice continued from the speaker. "We can use whatever footage you got for the lawyer. Make sure—" I hung up. "Now you have honesty." As I walked toward the exit, I could hear Cambria's voice rising in panic behind me, her friends' shocked whispers, and the rapid-fire pinging of their phones as more evidence landed in their inboxes. The game had changed. They wanted a loyalty test? Time to see how they scored. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I got home to find Cambria already there, 2 suitcases by the door, and tears that looked suspiciously rehearsed. "Felix, please, let me explain. It wasn't what it sounded like." "Which part?" I walked past her to the kitchen, poured myself coffee. "The part where you've been having an affair for 3 months, or the part where you and your friends plan to humiliate me on camera?" "It was just a test. We wanted to see if you really cared about our marriage." The audacity was almost impressive. "A test that involved you sleeping with your boss and planning to take half my assets based on staged footage." She followed me, desperation creeping into her voice. "Wilder means nothing. It's complicated." I opened my laptop, pulled up more files, bank statements, hotel receipts, text message threads, the digital paper trail of betrayal neatly organized in folders labeled by date. Complicated like the company credit card you've been using for your dates? Or complicated like the promotion you got after your first night with him? Cambria sank onto the couch. "How long have you known?" "Long enough to move our joint savings to a trust account. Long enough to document everything. Long enough to send copies to HR at your company." Her phone buzzed. Then again, and again. "That's probably Ms. Parson from Human Resources," I said conversationally. "I sent her quite an interesting package this morning. Internal communications, expense reports, some very unprofessional photos from your phone." "You can't do this to me." "I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just sharing information. Truth has a way of spreading, doesn't it?" My phone rang. Donnie, my old army buddy who now worked in IT security. "Felix, man, you sure about this? Once this stuff hits social media, there's no taking it back." "I'm sure." "All right. The neighborhood app post goes live in 10 minutes. The video compilation is ready when you give the word." I hung up and looked at Cambria. "You wanted to test my loyalty. Congratulations. You failed." She lunged for my laptop, but I was faster. Military training doesn't fade. "You're destroying my life." "No," I said calmly. "I'm revealing it." My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Wilder. We need to talk. Now." I showed Cambria the screen. "Looks like your boyfriend wants to chat." The parking garage at Riverside Plaza was dimly lit and mostly empty at 3 in the afternoon, perfect for a conversation that needed privacy. I arrived early, positioning myself near the elevator with a clear view of the entrance. Wilder's silver BMW pulled in 15 minutes later. He stepped out wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment, his face flushed with anger and panic. "You son of a—" he started. "Careful," I interrupted. "Wouldn't want to say something you'd regret, especially since I'm recording this." He stopped mid-stride, noticing my phone held casually in my hand. "What do you want? Money? I can pay you to keep quiet about this." "I want nothing from you, Wilder. You've already given me everything I need." "Look, it's not what you think. Cambria came on to me. I tried to resist, but—" I laughed. Actually laughed. "You tried to resist? Is that what you call charging hotel rooms to the company card? Resistance?" His face went pale. "How did you get access to company records? I'm a network engineer, Wilder. Digital security is literally what I do for a living." I walked closer, and he took a step back. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued. "You're going to resign from your position before HR finishes their investigation. You're going to transfer departments if you stay with the company. And you're going to stay away from my wife." "You can't threaten me." "I'm not threatening you. I'm informing you of consequences." I pulled out a key, not mine, one of those emergency car keys that Cambria had made months ago for safety. The same key she'd given me access to when we were still pretending to trust each other. "Nice car," I said, walking toward the BMW. "What are you doing?" I opened the driver's door, reached in, and poured my coffee across the leather seats. Then I took the key and drew a long, deliberate scratch along the passenger side. "Oops." Wilder's face went red. "I'll call the police." "And tell them what? That the husband of the woman you're having an affair with damaged your car after you tried to bribe him? Go ahead. I'm sure your wife would love to hear that story." His wife. I'd almost forgotten. "Speaking of your wife," I pulled out an envelope from my jacket. "She should be receiving some interesting mail about now." Wilder's phone started ringing. The caller ID was visible from where I stood. "Home." Better answer that, I suggested. Sounds important. He stared at the phone, then at me, then at his ruined car interior. This isn't over, he said weakly. Oh, but it is, I replied. It's very much over. I walked back toward the elevator, leaving him standing next to his damaged BMW with his phone still ringing. Behind me, I heard him finally answer. Hi, honey. No, I'm at work. What package? The elevator doors closed on his increasingly panicked voice. By evening, my phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree. Text messages, missed calls, voicemails from numbers I didn't recognize. The neighborhood social app had exploded with comments and shares. The video compilation Donnie had put together, a carefully edited montage of Cambria's lies, contradictions, and the audio from Wilder's speakerphone confession, had gone viral within our local community. I was sitting in my new apartment, a modest one-bedroom place across town, when Jessa showed up at my door. Her eyes were red from crying. Felix, please, you have to take down that video. Why would I do that? Because it's ruining everyone. Mira lost her job, Rory's husband is filing for divorce, and Cambria, she's completely destroyed. I leaned against the doorframe. And we're sorry. We made a mistake. The loyalty test was stupid, but we never meant for it to go this far. You never meant to get caught. Jessa pulled out her phone, showed me a recording app. Look, I'll confess everything. I'll tell HR that we set the whole thing up, that Cambria was just going along with our plan. Interesting offer, but you're still recording, aren't you? She looked down at her phone, realized the app was still running. Her face crumpled. I can't help it. I record everything. It's like an addiction. I know. I've seen your cloud backup. Her eyes widened. You hacked my phone? I didn't need to hack anything. You posted your login credentials on social media last year when you were complaining about forgetting passwords. Basic digital security, Jessa. You should really be more careful. I stepped back into my apartment. But since you're here, and since you're recording anyway, why don't you tell the truth for once? Tell everyone about the loyalty tests you've been running on other couples. Tell them about the group chat where you all plan to break up marriages for entertainment. The Hendersons? The Patels? The young couple from Oak Street? Should I keep going? Jessa's face went white. How did you find out about your little hobby? Same way I found out about everything else. You people really need to learn about digital privacy. She turned to leave, then stopped. What do you want from us? Nothing. I want absolutely nothing from any of you. Then why are you doing this? I looked at her for a long moment. Because you asked for honesty. This is what honesty looks like. After she left, I poured myself a drink and sat down at my computer. There were still a few more files to upload, a few more truths to share. The investigation at Cambria's company was just getting started. Wilder's wife had apparently hired a divorce attorney. The neighborhood was buzzing with gossip about the loyalty test scandal. My phone buzzed with a text from Cambria. Please stop. I'll do anything. I deleted it without responding. They wanted to test loyalty. They were about to learn what real consequences looked like. The confrontation I'd been expecting came 3 days later. I was leaving my apartment building when I saw them, Cambria and Wilder, standing next to his now repaired BMW, clearly waiting for me. Felix, Cambria called out. We need to talk. I kept walking toward my truck. Nothing to talk about. Yes, there is. She hurried after me, Wilder trailing behind. You've destroyed my career, my friendships, my entire life. I've revealed your choices. There's a difference. I made mistakes, but this is cruel. You're being vindictive. I turned to face her. Vindictive? You mean like planning to film me having an emotional breakdown so you could use it against me in divorce court? Wilder stepped forward. Look, we get it. You're angry, but this has gone far enough. People are getting hurt. People got hurt the moment you decided to betray their trust. It was just supposed to be a test. Cambria's voice was rising, drawing attention from other people in the parking lot. We wanted to see if you'd fight for our marriage. By having an affair? It wasn't real. It was part of the test. I stared at her. You're still lying. Even now, with everything out in the open, you're still lying. I pulled out my phone, opened the recording app. Tell everyone the truth, Cambria. Tell them about the loyalty tests you've been running on other couples. Tell them about the group chat where you laughed about breaking up marriages. I won't. Tell them about the money you've been skimming from the joint account. Tell them about the credit cards you opened in my name. Her face went pale. You can't prove that. Actually, I can. I held up a folder full of documents. Bank statements, credit applications, forged signatures. Should I keep going? Wilder grabbed her arm. We're leaving. No, I said firmly. You're not. I'd positioned myself between them and their car. Behind me, a small crowd was gathering. Neighbors, people from the building, curious onlookers drawn by the raised voices. You wanted a public test of loyalty? I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Let's have one. I opened the folder, started reading from the documents. Bank transactions, hotel receipts, text message timestamps. A detailed timeline of betrayal, laid out in black and white. Stop it! Cambria lunged for the papers, but I held them out of reach. The loyalty test was never about testing me, I continued. It was about covering up what you'd already done. You needed me to look like the bad guy, so you could justify your choices. Wilder tried to push past me toward the car. I didn't move. Excuse me, he said. No. I said excuse me, and I said no. He put his hand on my shoulder, tried to push me aside. That was a mistake. I grabbed his wrist, twisted it just enough to make him uncomfortable, and guided him away from the car. Not violent, just firm. Military training has its advantages. Don't touch me again, I said calmly. You can't hold us here. I'm not holding you anywhere. You're free to walk away anytime you want. Our car will be right here when you get back. I tossed his keys to one of the onlookers, an elderly man from the second floor who'd been watching the whole scene with obvious interest. Mr. Patterson, would you mind holding these for a few minutes? Be happy to, he replied, clearly enjoying the drama. Cambria was crying now, but they looked like angry tears rather than sad ones. You're humiliating me. I'm revealing the truth. If that's humiliating, maybe you should have made different choices. I loved you. No, I said quietly. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. I turned to address the crowd that had gathered. My wife and her friends have been running loyalty tests on married couples in this neighborhood. They film people's reactions to fake crisis situations, then use the footage to manipulate relationships and cover up their own affairs. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I recognized several faces, people from the neighborhood app, couples who'd probably been targeted. The Hendersons, the Patels, the Johnsons from Oak Street. Ask them about unexpected relationship problems they've had lately. Ask them about friends who suddenly started questioning their marriages. More murmurs, some angry now. This is insane, Wilder shouted. You can't just... Can't what? Tell the truth? Share facts? Everything I've said is documented and verifiable. I pulled out my phone, opened the neighborhood app. It's all here. Screenshots, recordings, financial records, public information, freely shared. Cambria's phone started buzzing, then Wilder's, then several phones in the crowd. That's the rest of the evidence going live, I explained. Group chats, planning documents, target lists, everything. The crowd was getting larger now, and the mood was shifting from curious to hostile. People were looking at their phones, reading, sharing information. You're destroying innocent people, Cambria screamed. I'm protecting innocent people, I replied. From you. Wilder tried one more time to get past me to the car. This time, when he put his hands on me, I didn't just redirect him. I grabbed his shoulders, spun him around, and put him face first against the hood of his BMW. Not violent, just controlled. Humiliating. I told you not to touch me. The crowd was openly hostile now. Someone shouted, "Get out of here!" Another voice called, "We don't want you in our neighborhood." I let Wilder go, stepped back. "You wanted to test loyalty? Congratulations. The whole neighborhood just failed your test." Cambria and Wilder looked around at the angry faces surrounding them, the phones recording their humiliation, the complete collapse of their social standing. "This isn't over," Wilder said weakly. "Yes," I replied. "It is." I nodded to Mr. Patterson, who tossed the keys back to Wilder. They got in their car and drove away as the crowd watched, some still filming, others already posting updates to social media. As the crowd dispersed, my phone buzzed with a text from Donnie. "News van just pulled up to Wilder's house. His wife's holding a press conference." I smiled, put my phone away, and walked back to my apartment. The loyalty test was finally over. They'd all failed,